Funding for this program is provided by the valuable support of Chevrolet. Chevrolet, find new roads. And Pernobis, passion for our country.
Get set for a thrilling adventure through a land of diverse natural wonders and priceless man-made treasures. It's a land of striking contrasts, where snow-capped peaks atop the Earth's divide flow into dense jungle rivers far below and out into the deep blue void. It's a place that holds its history close while laying claim to far-flung fabled islands where wildlife rules. And on this trip, we'll soar over surging volcanoes, steam towards rich Andean cultures, glide across Amazonian rainforests, and dive into the wonders of evolutionary history. And our guide for this special journey is a man who knows this country as few others do. It's been his life's work to explore its terrain, talk to its people, and champion their hopes. He's a man who lifted himself out of poverty and succeeded in climbing to the very top, where he leads his country as it asserts itself on the world stage, to both the delight and dismay of its powerful neighbors. His name is Rafael Correa, and he is the president of Ecuador. So buckle up. For the next hour, we're going on an exclusive inside the bubble trip with a sitting head of state as he shows us his country as only he can. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Ecuador, the Royal Tour. Bordered by Colombia to the north and Peru to the south, Ecuador, which is Spanish for the word equator, sits firmly on latitude 0 on the western coast of South America. One of the smallest countries on the continent, about the size of the state of Colorado, Ecuador features lush rainforests, jungle rivers, the Andes Mountains, 10 major volcanoes, and 700 miles to the west, the famed Galapagos Islands. At the heart of this country of 16 million people is the capital of Quito, an historic city in a truly dramatic setting. Sitting at an elevation of over 9,000 feet above sea level, Quito is the second highest capital city in the world. And it's where I begin my tour. The president has asked me to meet him at the Carondelet Palace. This colonial building was constructed by the Spanish more than 2 centuries ago. Today, it's the seat of government and the president's official residence.
Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
How are you?
The president's head of protocol met me on the red carpet for the pomp and circumstance of a full official presidential greeting. Mr. President.
Peter, welcome to Carondelet, the Presidential Palace of Ecuador. Please.
Thank you so much for having me. Before starting the tour, it was time to sit down with the president for an up-close and often personal briefing. Rafael Correa is one of the more controversial and outspoken figures in South America, one of a new breed of populist, left-wing leaders trying to reshape their countries through the redistribution of wealth and increased public spending. And in Ecuador's case, through tourism. Mr. President, first, thank you so much for having me to your country.
Please, you're welcome.
When somebody comes here for the first time,
Yes.
what's the most surprising thing that they discover about Ecuador?
A very diverse country. Our country is a country of colors, of smells. The best roses in the world, the best bananas in the world, the best shrimp in the world. And we have a huge potential in tourism. We are working very hard.
According to the president, tourism is growing in Ecuador at an astounding 15% per year.
3 times the world average in tourism. Tourism can give us a lot of jobs in order to improve the quality of life of people.
So what's your biggest challenge today?
Well, to eliminate poverty, of course. And in order to do that, you have to have economic growth, but also more justice, better income distribution, for instance, better wealth distribution. You have here very rich people and very poor people. Poverty has color, you know. You are indigenous people, you are black people, almost for sure you are poor people. But if you are white people, almost for sure you are rich people. So that means that poverty is structural. You have unfair structures. You have exclusion of most part of population.
How do you achieve that balance without angering a lot of people?
It's very difficult because we have a small but very powerful elite.
Correa says he understands that dynamic from both an Ecuadorian and an American perspective. When he was 35, Correa, his wife Anne, and their children moved to the United States for 4 years, while he earned his PhD in economics from the University of Illinois. Correa is now serving his 3rd term as president, but his relationship with the United States is often described as complicated. When you ran for president, part of your campaign was you did not want any American military bases in Ecuador.
Well, if you want an Ecuadorian base in your territory, we can have a deal, you know? Why not to have an Ecuadorian base in Florida? America as a country, the most successful country in human history, but to accept orders from America that is unacceptable in the new Ecuador.
Time and again, Correa has demonstrated his willingness to remain as independent as possible of the superpowers. For instance, when WikiLeaks hacktivist Julian Assange leaked secret cables from the U.S. Embassy in Ecuador that were critical of Correa, the president not only blocked efforts to extradite Assange, he granted him political asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he still remained some 3 years later.
The United States must pledge before the world that it will not pursue journalists for shining a light on the secret crimes of the powerful.
Why did he come to you?
He admired our country because he knows that we have freedom, liberty. Formally, the United States has nothing to do with the problem. The investigation is a Swedish investigation.
Right.
Julian Assange is in our embassy in London, so it's a Swedish and British problem. We study long time the request. We decide it's our right, it's our duty to give him asylum. As long as he wants, he can stay in our embassy.
For the most part, Correa's policies have been met with broad domestic support. Now in his 3rd term, he is widely considered the most popular president in Ecuador's somewhat roller coaster democratic history. Before Correa took office in 2007, the country held a record of sorts. 7 different presidents in just 10 years, and not one of them completed his term.
Now, during 8 years, we have had just one president.
You.
Yes, sir. And thanks to God, with a lot of popular support.
And yet in 2010, your presidency was challenged very directly, an attempted coup, if you will.
Yes, sir.
In September of that year, the National Police went on strike to protest a new public service law. They blocked roads and seized the airport, a TV station, and this police base. Against the advice of a security team, the president decided to face the protesters. But he was clearly not welcome.
When I arrived there, immediately I realized that there was not a normal strike. It was a political movement because they started insulting us, threatening us.
He asked reporters on the scene to tell the nation that he was going to face the police, and he'd emerge either as a president or as a corpse. He finally made his way to a second-floor window overlooking the crowd.
Finally, I told them, well, if you want to shoot me, to kill me, but don't harm your country.
When he tried to leave, rioters fired tear gas at him. Knowing he'd just had surgery, they targeted his knee. A few armed members of his security team rushed the president to a hospital on the base, where he was then kept against his will. Finally, 12 hours after he entered the hospital, an elite army unit rescued the president. 6 years later, Correa is still challenging the status quo in his own country and abroad. And now he wanted to challenge some of our impressions about Ecuador.
Ecuador is the most compact, mega diverse country in the world. You can have breakfast in the coast, in the Pacific Ocean, have lunch in the mountains, and have dinner in the jungle.
So a lot of surprises?
Of course.
You're full of surprises.
Oh, come on. My country is full of surprises.
But it's no surprise that when you travel with the president, you need to move fast. And you do it in style. Just a few minutes after we left Quito, we flew over the Ciudad La Mitad del Mundo. This is the middle of the world monument that marks the spot where the equator cuts right through Ecuador.
This is only a short flight from Quito, but we are heading to a completely different world, the Amazonian rainforest.
We hadn't been in the air very long before I could see the lush rainforest below. And a few minutes later, we touched down in the port town of Coca.
It's hot today.
Always hot here. Come on.
Buenos días, presidente. Bienvenido.
We hit the ground long enough to exchange a fast welcome. And then we were wheels up again. Soon we were flying towards the Napo River, following its swift flow towards the Amazon.
That is a huge river.
Below us lay Yasuni National Park, Ecuador's largest protected rainforest. It's a somewhat controversial location because Correa has allowed petroleum exploration to continue here, despite irresponsible drilling causing serious ecological damage during previous administrations. But he contends his government is now enforcing responsible drilling. Ironically, the income from the oil is now being used to protect this rainforest.
This is a frequent mistake to think that the most important danger to the Amazon region is oil. No, it's the expansion of the agricultural frontier. And in order to have alternative, you have to have other sources of revenue, of income, of jobs.
And to show me how some of the native communities are actually benefiting from oil revenue, the president gave me a quick bird's-eye view of the Napo Wildlife Center. It's one of Ecuador's newest eco-lodges, built by the Anyangu Quichua people. Rather than having to resort to slash-and-burn farming techniques, the Quichua now support themselves with sustainable ecotourism. From plane to helicopter to boat, our next stop, the Napo River.
Hey, you have to fix that.
It's too small.
Let me check. Are you okay like this?
Hello. I'm good.
The Napo is the most important tributary to the Amazon River, the biggest river in the world.
And in this one area, the largest river in the world, you have the most biodiversity you can imagine.
Yes, by far. You can find more trees and more birds than in Canada and United States together.
The president promised me we'd see plenty of that wildlife at the Sasha Lodge's 5,000-acre private ecological reserve. Sasha is a Quichua Indian word for forest, and this property offers a safe refuge for a tremendous variety of plants and animals native to the Ecuadorian Amazon.
This is amazing, Mr. President, but I'm looking around here. It looks like a swamp.
No, Peter, this is a flooded forest.
A florid forest. What's that mean?
Swamp? But look, you can find more than 600 kinds of birds, almost the same quantity than the entire United States.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I can hear them.
It's one of the most diverse places in the world. You know, Amazon region is the only place in my country where I can get lost. Yes.
We walked long enough that I was beginning to think maybe we were lost. Then in the distance, I finally saw what looked like the lodge. But it turned out to be a staging hut for the canoes and guides that were waiting to take us farther up the river.
It's very quiet.
Now I understood what the president really meant when he talked about getting lost. Out here, It feels as if your heart rate slows to the tempo of each soothing liquid stroke. And you can get lost in thought, lost in the pristine surroundings, a world away from your troubles or the troubles of state.
It's very peaceful here.
As we exited the narrow tributary, a large black water lagoon lay before us. The Black Lagoon gets its name from the natural tannins that color the water. In the distance, I could see one of the Sasha Lodge huts.
They're swimming there. Wonderful.
Oh, they're swimming over there.
I was a little surprised to see swimmers. I had always heard that these blackwater lagoons were filled with piranha and alligators. That would be enough to keep me out of the water. As soon as we pulled in, a family vacationing from New York instantly recognized the president.
But these two are studying.
I've had 2 years of Spanish, and I barely know anything.
What would you like to tell the president in Spanish?
Hola.
Well, what would you like to tell the president in English about Ecuador?
It's really beautiful. I like it a lot.
You know why? Because the country has a very nice president. That is the secret.
He's very friendly. It's not often you can hang out with the president.
So friendly, in fact, that when the girls invited him to go swimming, he jumped at the chance.
Uno.
No, I am scared.
Uno.
Are you sure?
Okay.
What about piranha,
1,
alligators, caiman?
2, 3.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
What's in the water here?
Piranha,
Piranha.
caiman.
Electric eels.
Electric eels?
Yeah,
No.
stingrays. Yeah.
No.
No. Anacondas.
Anaconda.
It's safe?
Yeah, wow. Woo. Wow.
Whoa! Yeah, let's just spend the whole week here. So what's the one lesson that you learned from this?
We have to preserve this for the next generation, you know, for the world, for the history.
After we left our new friends to swim, the president wanted to show me some of the creatures we had just been swimming with.
Piranha, piranha.
We're going for piranha?
But don't worry, don't worry. Piranhas are eaten by caiman. Don't worry about that.
Caiman?
Back home, most people would never think they could safely swim in these waters. But the president told me that here, these animals have plenty of space and food, so they usually leave swimmers alone.
Look, look, this is one.
Oh,
Come on. They are very small, but with very big teeth. She has a beautiful smile, huh?
yeah.
Let's send this guy back home, okay? Okay.
So how big was the fish you caught, Mr. President? Was it this big?
Oh, come on, bigger. Photoshop.
Photoshop.
Next, it was time to go deeper into the jungle. We were met by our guide and naturalist, Jorge Fabre.
See, we got that root system. Look at that's gorgeous here.
Within a few steps, we had our first encounter.
There are several there.
A group of Grill's tamarin monkeys foraging in the canopy.
This one. Another one.
Two or three. Two or three, yeah.
Another one there.
They're everywhere.
Even fully grown, these tiny creatures only range from about 7 to 12 inches long.
He's gonna jump. Oh, he did it. Look at that. You see that? They can really jump.
You're looking at a family group. That's how they move.
He's getting ready. Boom! Oh, man. These guys are great. Tell me that's not cool. Is that cool? That's cool. Can they bite? They bite.
Well, when you see that behavior, that's being places where people, they've been feeding creatures. We don't do that here. So you see totally unnatural movement. As soon as you go close to them, they're gonna run.
They don't bother you?
No, not at all.
If only politics was like that. Look at the ants.
Leaf cutter ants.
Look. Wow. They're busy today.
These creatures are farming right now. They're carrying the leaves, but they don't eat the leaves. They produce a compost with the leaves.
It's rush hour.
Everywhere we looked, there was life. But Jorge explained that this lush rainforest actually concealed a very fragile ecosystem.
We are walking on one of the poorest soils of the world. After the desert, this is the second poorest soil on Earth. See? There's nothing but clay in the ground. You don't have the forest, you're gonna have a beautiful patch of desert here. And worldwide, it's gonna change the weather.
It's not good for agriculture, for cattle.
For cattle, yeah.
They have to deforest a lot of land in order to have few cattle. You know?
So the key is you've got to stop the deforestation.
But people need also to feed their families. So we need to find other kinds of economic activities here for the Amazon region especially.
At the end of our trek, we returned to the canoes to make our way back to the lodge before nightfall. But there was one thing I just couldn't get off my mind.
I'm just waiting for the piranha to attack.
My friend Peter, too much Hollywood films.
I know.
And maybe I had seen too many movies. But it was clear that this Amazonian scene needed no special effects.
The sky, the light, it's great.
The next morning started early, very early. We were up and walking by 5 a.m. in anticipation of an Amazonian sunrise. But it wasn't the sunrise that motivated us. It was where we were going to watch it from. A large, towering, shaky canopy walkway. This 940-foot-long steel cable bridge is suspended from 3 large metal towers. And although it was a bit of a hike to get here, boy, was it worth it. It was breathtaking to see the jungle and its creatures from the treetops.
Hey, the toucan. You see the toucan?
Oh, yeah.
Lots of them in the back, white-throated toucan.
Almost 600 species of birds have been spotted in this small area. Bird watchers love it because you never know quite what you'll see.
This is the place where I come to get away from it all, but at the same time to see it all.
And you do see it all.
Roughly 50 miles south of Quito lies the highest active volcano in the world. At 19,000 feet, Cotopaxi is also one of the most dangerous. 2 days into the royal tour, Cotopaxi roared back to life for the first time in 70 years. Authorities feared the eruption could melt the volcano's ice caps, sending torrential mud flows towards the 300,000 villagers who live near the volcano's base. The president declared a state of emergency and sent in police and the military to help evacuate the town. We had to make a sudden return trip to Quito so that the president could coordinate with his staff.
That is the Cotopaxi. It's the highest volcanic activity in the world. And now,
it's erupting.
Yes, its activity is increasing.
It's a little scary.
Yes, we are very worried about that. We are taking all the precautions, but it is very dangerous.
Fortunately, the volcanic eruption quieted down, and the president was able to show me a bit of historic Quito. And it wasn't long before I understood why this city was the first in the Americas to be declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It's an amazing building, Mr. President.
Hi, Peter. This is one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. This is the Compañía de Jesús Church. I think it's Quito's crown jewel. Wait to see inside.
This church is often referred to as Quito's Sistine Chapel. Jesuit priests began construction in 1605, and the massive project took 163 years to complete.
You know, Mr. President, I walk in this building, I look all around, and all I see is gold.
You have here, Peter, 7 tons of gold.
7 tons?
Yes.
And what would 7 tons of gold mean today?
A lot of money.
A little help to the economy, perhaps?
Of course.
This must have been quite a construction project.
This is an impressive building, Peter. But I'm gonna show you something really special. Come with me, please. Peter, this is something that few visitors ever get to experience.
Wow. Talk about a room with a view.
Amazing, isn't it?
But it turned out this was just a stopover on the way to where we were really headed.
This is the special view that I wanted to show you, Peter. The church cupola.
Beautiful. The cupola offered a grand view of Quito, considered the best preserved, least altered historic center in all of Latin America.
San Francisco Church, the biggest monastery in the continent. This monastery was built on the site of the old Inca palace after the Spanish conquered the city nearly 500 years ago.
Pretty amazing. Next, the president said he had an assignment for me. He sent me ahead to catch a northbound train to the Andes, where he promised he'd meet up with me later. And then, to my surprise, a century-old steam locomotive pulled up to the platform. With great fanfare, the old train pulled out of the station and began grinding its way up and into the Andes. Old and rather slow, but that's the beauty of it. Because you have enough time to go at a pace, you can actually see something. Just 7 years ago, only 10% of these historic trains were operational. But since then, there's been a railroad renaissance. President Correa committed $280 million to renovate the system, lay new track, and restore the trains. Today, these old trains still serve much of the country. And the government is betting that by attracting travelers, the railroad will boost economically depressed communities along its route. Hola! After a lumbering 3-hour journey, the train slowly pulled into the Andean mountain town of Otavalo. My destination was only a short walk from the station. It's the handicraft market, where every Saturday, indigenous people come from the countryside to sell their wares. These are the descendants of the Inca. You can see it in their faces and in the clothes they wear. The women dress in blouses, skirts, shawls, and hats, with layers of necklaces, while the men still wear a long braid known as a shimba. The shimba is a tradition that's believed to date back to pre-Incan times, and the locals see it as an expression of their ethnic identity and pride. The market was jammed with people and filled with colorful homemade goods. But before I had a chance to stop and look at anything, there was a large commotion in the crowd. It was the president trying to walk towards me.
¡Vive Madrid! ¡Qué alegría!
Un abrazo a todos.
¡Qué alegría, presidente! ¡Qué alegría!
After a lot of squeezing and pushing, I finally caught up with him.
Hi, Peter. How are you doing?
Very good.
This is what's called going shopping with the president. Me, the president, and all of these people, right?
Sorry about that. There are a lot of people here. This is a very famous market.
What are we going to shop for today?
Well, you can buy ponchos.
I want to see ponchos. You and me in ponchos.
Yes, they are very beautiful.
Let's do that.
This way? Or
Yeah, let's whatever you want. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh, no.
Now the man with a PhD in economics would teach me a little bit about the free market.
And it's very funny to do bargain, you know?
You never take the first price.
No,
never. Never. But you're the president. You can get anything you want.
No, they will ask the highest possible price for me, you know?
Okay, so let's see what we can do here. How much is this? How much is this? ¿Cuántos? $20? No.
She speaks Quechua.
Ah, Quechua. Ah. But she also speaks $20. Quince. She's holding tough, man. I guess we have to buy it, huh?
It looks fun.
Okay. 18, deal. Okay.
18 bucks? A bargain. Poncho in hand, we now went off in search of a hat.
Día del Dios. Sírvase, por favor.
Does this happen every time you go shopping?
Sometimes worse, you know?
Gracias.
Ecuadorian people is very kind people. You know?
Yeah.
These are Otavalos hats. They're very beautiful. Okay? Wonderful, you know?
That was good.
Perfect. ¿Cuánto?
$10?
$10.
Take that back.
No, come on.
I buy one for you. Come on, my treat.
Él paga, no te preocupes.
Right now, all these people are going to go home in an hour, take a look at the picture, say, who's the guy in the back with the hat? You ready? One shot with us.
Okay.
All right, so we try to make it back to the car now?
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go.
Bienvenido.
Going this way?
Uh-oh, here we go again. Our next stop on the royal tour, the city of Guayaquil.
I have a very special reason to take you there. Guayaquil is not only Ecuador's largest city, it's also my hometown.
I asked the president to take me to the places that, when he was growing up, shaped his thinking and his politics. He took me to the spot that he said most profoundly impacted his life.
Peter, this is a very special place for me. This is my school.
San Jose de la Salle was the Catholic school the president attended from the age of 5 until he graduated at 18. He wanted to keep our arrival a secret from the students. But when the school's most famous alumnus is also president of the country, leaks sometimes occur. And it was clear the word had already gotten out. The students had been instructed to act with restraint and decorum, as if it were just another Monday morning assembly. The flags were raised. And the president showed he still remembered every word to the school song.
¡Viva la Salle! ¡Viva el pueblo de San José!
Buenos días, queridos chicos, ¿cómo estamos? Yo feliz de visitar esto que es parte tan importante de mi vida.
It was a pep talk from the country's and the school's most important cheerleader. But then came the high point of the morning.
Nos tomamos una foto aquí, juntos. Selfie. Va a ser difícil selfie.
Some words are the same in any language.
Pero ahí se organiza. Ya metí el relajo que me van a... Gracias.
With school back in session, the president decided to stop in on an English class.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hello.
No, it's fine. They must learn good English. My English is not good. Yours is very good. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
We have a question. We have a question.
Okay. How old are you?
Oh, my God.
Oh, come on. You shouldn't ask that question. How old do you think I am?
45.
45, thank you very much. No, I am 52.
Why do you want to be in this school?
I got a scholarship. For this reason, I could study here. I was very lucky because it's a very good school, but I didn't have money in order to pay it.
For the president, his scholarship was an early lesson in how communities could help the poor. The school also nurtured his faith. Today, he remains a devout Roman Catholic.
It's beautiful. Every Sunday, I came here in order to have Mass. Exactly the same, exactly.
Nothing changed.
The same lights, the same colors, and so many memories.
And confession. Confession.
And yes, the president told me he did have some things to confess.
We play hooking
You'd leave the school.
to the market in order to eat ceviche, or to my house because I woke up too late. So I didn't have time to take breakfast. I returned to my house in order to take breakfast during the break. The doorman was a very good friend of mine also. He was my neighbor.
So he snuck you out?
Yes.
The doorman's name was Ovidio, and 4 decades later, Ovidio still lives across the street from the school.
In this neighborhood, nothing really changes, right? The same people live here now that live there.
In this building.
Aquí al segundo piso vivió.
This was my apartment, that window.
Wow. Do you want to show it to me?
Of course.
Let's go, yeah. So you lived here how long?
Here in this apartment, 20 years.
Wow, and how much was the rent?
$20.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a deal.
No, it's a very modest apartment. Gracias. She was my landlady. In 4 days, she will be 101 years old.
Wow.
101. Está guapísima. Usted se me echa un tuning porque se le ve jovencita.
Con sus obras.
Gracias.
The grand dame of the apartment allowed the president to give us the royal tour of his childhood home.
Me and my brother bedroom.
This is it?
Yes. The bathroom.
Bathroom?
Very elementary bathroom.
Yeah.
And the kitchen. It's not anymore the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
They are reconstructing.
But this is old. So what did this neighborhood, growing up here, teach you about life?
Well, this was a poor neighborhood, a very unsafe neighborhood. So I learned to defend myself, you know. My mom worked all the day, so we stayed alone. We didn't have even a car, TV, etc. We learned to be self-sufficient. We learned not to waste resources, to enjoy the few things that we had.
Oh, it's quite something, yeah.
A lot of memories.
A lot of
My
memories.
life.
I know.
My childhood.
Our next stop would be just an hour upriver from the port of Guayaquil. Here, alongside the country roads, grows one of the national treasures of Ecuador, cacao, the raw ingredient of chocolate. There's evidence to suggest that the cacao plant may have originated in Ecuador and that beans have been harvested and consumed here for 5,000 years. Today, Ecuador has emerged as a preeminent exporter of some of the world's finest premium-grade cocoa beans. There's not a lot of agritourism in Ecuador yet, so the routes to the farms can be a bit of a rough ride. The president told me there's only one way to travel these roads, and he wants me to drive.
Whoa!
Today, these roads are used by the locals and only the most die-hard chocolate fanatics. As a result, most of this industry remains shrouded in mystery. So the president wanted to give me a closer look so that I could experience chocolate right at the source.
Compañeros, la finca Víctor.
Más adelante a la izquierda hay que ir.
Gracias. Let's go.
Sometimes, even a president has to ask for directions in his own country.
Gracias, compa.
And we continue down the cacao route. The president was taking me to a small farm he'd visited before.
These are cocoa trees. The best cocoa in the world. Hey!
We met Victor, the farm's owner.
Gracias por visitar mi finca. Bienvenido. Es una plantación de cacao joven que tiene prácticamente 8 años.
He's saying that these are young cocoa trees, around 8 years old.
It's a pod.
The pod of the cocoa. He will show us the cocoa beans.
Yeah.
Go ahead. They smell very nice.
Floral.
Wow.
Take one. This is the wet beans.
Yeah.
In order to export them, you must dry them. You know?
Let's go see it, yeah. So where are you taking me?
To a wonderful place. This is a cocoa warehouse. Jaime, Peter.
Hey, Jaime, con mucho gusto.
The best cocoa in the world. Smell that, Peter.
Wow.
The smell of Ecuadorian beans is so famous that it has a name, Cacao Arriba, and you can only get it from Ecuador.
The smell of my country.
Try it, taste it, love it.
This warehouse is a farmer's cooperative, where the organic cacao beans are brought to be dried, graded, packaged, and then shipped to all corners of the world.
For example, this goes to Holland.
Goes to Holland?
Yes.
So when the Dutch claim credit for chocolate, they have to actually thank you.
Well, the small producers.
The small producers?
The small producers, yep.
It's a fair trade model that gives the farmers better pay for a better product and provides them with a sustainable way to support their families. The farmers say that this, not oil, is their black gold.
But before it gets in here, it has to be dried.
Yeah, sure. In the outside, we can see how we dry it with the sun.
You have to have good sun.
Yes.
Well, this is equatorial sun, you know?
Yeah.
Here is the cocoa that is arriving from the field. This bag is 100 pounds. It's a big job.
Whoa.
That's...
I think he's done that before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
He's an artist.
Yeah.
Peter, try one.
No, you're the president.
Okay.
You'll do it?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Where should I put it?
Well, here.
But I don't know how.
That's an art.
Talk about carrying a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Thank you, lady.
Whoa, this we take home. Much appreciated.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, man.
Peter, a day without chocolate is not a good day.
But the day wasn't over yet. We returned to Guayaquil for dinner. Not a formal government affair, but to one of the president's favorite places. A modest outdoor eatery, filled with good food and plenty of street meals.
Now, this is a typical Guayaquil restaurant.
Well, yes, we have several kinds, but this is a very popular one.
The president ordered our food, and by the time it arrived, people had begun to take notice. The president, a few security guys, and a camera crew. Suddenly, some of the locals figured out there was a free show starting.
Eating outside, in the neighborhoods, this is part of the culture. This is part of the scene here.
Yes.
Now, when you were in America, going to the university, is that where you learned your English?
I never learned English.
Would you want to go back to America?
I love America. I love American people. I admire a lot your country. We have to learn a lot from the United States. Any culture has good things and bad things. American culture also. For instance, innovation, we have to learn about that.
And the bad things?
I found that American people do not know a lot of the rest of the world.
Is it safe to say that a student in Ecuador might know more about America than an American student might know about Ecuador?
For sure. Here, everybody knows something about America. We have a lot of TV programs from America.
Do you remember what your favorite TV show was from America?
Three People Are Too Much. Do you remember this?
Three's Company.
Yes, Three's Company.
With
and
John Ritter.
Yes.
Oh my God, you like that?
Yes.
And just when it seemed like the evening might be winding down, little did I know, the president was just getting started. president may only have been an amateur singer, he certainly knew how to hold an audience. The next morning, we were on the move again.
Today we are taking off from Guayaquil and flying along the Pacific coast to Puerto Lopez.
Puerto Lopez, the president told me, is the #1 spot in Ecuador for whale watching. We touched down in Manta, a short drive from the port. Thanks, guys. The moment we landed, a group of locals immediately recognized their president. By the time we reached the port, word had really gotten out. And while the crowd had come for president watching, we were there for something else.
It's a good day to watch whales. When it is cloudy, they go up,
they come up
to the surface.
Yes.
When it is too sunny, too hot, they go down.
The president was right. These whales must have approved of the weather because they were everywhere. Wow. Oh, whoa!
Wow! There is another one. 2, 3.
Yeah, I just saw him. There he is.
Wonderful.
Each year, these humpback whales travel over 4,000 miles from Antarctica to mate in the warm waters off Puerto Lopez. Ah, there he is. Oh yeah, boom.
The whale tail is like its fingerprint. Every tail is different from another.
At one time, humpback whales were nearly hunted to extinction. And while they've made a steady recovery, today they face a new threat. Climate change is disrupting their migration patterns. Oh, look, that's a big one. That's a big one, look. Beautiful, huh? While some of the whales were already traveling with calves, others were still searching for a mate.
This is a female,
right,
that has two males following her.
Isn't that always the case? And when a whale raises its fin in the air, that's a male showing off to attract females.
Ecuador is the country of love because these whales cross half of the planet in order to mate here in Ecuador.
And they're here mating right now?
Yes.
And we watched.
So if someone has his honeymoon, he can come to Ecuador, you know?
So this is the whale honeymoon?
Yes, yes. You see?
Yeah.
Ecuador, the country of love.
Our next flight would be our longest of the tour, a 700-mile journey west of Ecuador's mainland to the Galapagos Islands. The Galapagos is an archipelago made up of more than 20 islands. It is a legendary, almost mythical place, encompassing one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. There are species of marine life on these islands that don't exist anywhere else in the world. Because of the president's schedule, we only had one day to spend here, so we wasted no time. And our first major sighting caught us completely by surprise. As a flock of blue-footed boobies in search of sardines suddenly dive-bombed the shallows near our boat. Sailors have been coming to the Galapagos since the islands were discovered in the 1500s. But the name most commonly associated with these islands is Charles Darwin. Darwin sailed here in 1835, and the islands formed the foundation for his book, The Origin of the Species. Today, the islands are a living museum of Darwin's theory of evolution. We anchored off Santa Cruz, a roughly 40-mile wide island located near the center of the archipelago.
So, Mr. President, what are we going to see today?
I'm going to show you some friends of mine.
Okay, let's go. There's a reason why the Galapagos is one of the top spots in the world for snorkelers and scuba divers. This massive marine reserve offers visitors a thrilling underwater spectacle. And the marine life here is so familiar with humans that they will often swim alongside their visitors. Now, that's fine as long as we're talking about sea lions and turtles and such, but then the president led me toward a shallow cove. And suddenly, everything grew eerily still. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw something flash. And that's when I saw it. Not only did the president remain calm, he motioned for me to move even closer. It turned out that these were just white-tipped reef sharks. They preferred to eat seafood and usually leave humans alone. But still, for me, this is a little too close for comfort, even with the president's underwater security detail hovering close by. But the president was loving it, and the sharks didn't seem to mind. So I couldn't help but wonder, professional courtesy? Right next.
Wonderful. Amazing.
Woo. Mr. President, that was great. Now listen to me. Next time, when I'm looking at a shark, don't grab me. We left the island's coastal scrub behind and hiked up to the lush green highlands. We met up with our naturalist, Juan Salcedo. The two of them wanted me to see one of the island's most famous inhabitants. That guy over there?
Yes.
These are big.
Yeah, 400 pounds is the average weight and size for a tortoise. So imagine being a sailor in the 1600s and coming to an archipelago looking for fresh meat and encountering such a delicacy, full of fat, full of meat.
These giant tortoises can live up to a full year without food or water. It's a survival trait that almost led to their extinction in the 19th century.
Basically, you could store them upside down, and you could slaughter one when you needed a fresh meat meal.
But one of the sailors who came here saw these animals differently. It was these tortoises that helped inspire Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin observed that tortoises on different islands had different characteristics. On this lush island, the tortoises ate low grass and had shorter necks than their cousins, who lived on scrub brush islands and ate tall cactus.
It's beautiful, you know.
When they want to move, how fast can they move?
About 2 kilometers per hour. But at this size...
Boy, what are you laughing about?
They move as fast as bureaucrats. I think they go faster, you know. Hey, guy, how are you doing? My friend. Hey, what's going on? Hmm? This is Ecuador, Peter.
Yeah.
You cannot find this nowhere else.
Unfortunately, the president said we only had time for one more stop. We headed to Seymour Island. It's one of the smallest islands in the Galapagos, but one that draws travelers and bird watchers from all over the world. We were welcomed by frigate birds and sea lions sunning themselves on the rocks.
You can find Southlands in Galapagos. They are very friendly.
Oh, look at this.
Hey! Oh.
You have a new friend.
He knows I am the president. This is one of the few places in the world where animals are not scared from humans because they are used to see people and also because of a long history of isolation.
Hello. Oh, look at that. And they like to pose.
Yes.
They say timing is everything. And when we came across these two blue-footed boobies, we were clearly interrupting some serious business.
Peter, this is a courtship of the blue-footed boobies, you know. They show the feet in order to be selected by the female.
Whoever has the most beautiful feet.
Yes.
Blue suede shoes.
The secret is to have blue shoes. Remember that. Oh, come on. Wow.
Should we be watching this?
Shh. Let's have some privacy.
He's proud of himself. He's boasting. Looks like somebody got selected. We left the small island to its romantic inhabitants, but the day was drawing to a close, and so was the royal tour. Mr. President, I want to thank you so much for giving me such an incredible tour of your country.
Oh, come on, Peter. It was our pleasure.
But you know, in watching you all week, I've just discovered there's something missing, and I really can't end the show without asking you just one more favor.
Of course.
Selfie?
Oh, come on. Tourists.
To learn more about the Royal Tour, visit petergreenberg.com.
Funding for this program is provided by the valuable support of Chevrolet. Chevrolet, find new roads. And Pernobis, passion for our country.